Father John Faris from St. Louis Gonzaga Church in Utica. It is the Taste of Lebanon this weekend. Good morning.
Yes, I walked in and Jeff was in the studio and said, "Oh, it's that time again." So thank you for having me back and inviting me to talk about a little bit about the Middle East and also the Taste of Lebanon.
Well, we're going to get to the Middle East. You just came back from Israel, right?
Yes, I came back from Israel and the Palestinian occupied territories. I was there about 2 weeks.
And what was your reason to be there? Were you there on a mission?
Well, here's every year I take a group of seminarians. These are young men from about 20 in their mid-20s.
Yeah.
I took 22 of them this year. A group that's interested in the Middle East pays for these people to go to the Middle East, to the Holy Land.
Yeah.
Really to see the holy places, to pray at the holy places. And
which is in your profession,
it's a very big deal. It's an amazing, and I told the guys when we started, you're going to have an amazing experience, and we did.
Wow. Well, who knew what kind of experience you were really going to have?
Yes. Before we left, it was always iffy, and I said, "We're going."
Yeah.
Okay. As long as I can keep them safe, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And we were into the trip, and everything was going well. And then one night, Israel began its incursion of the Gaza Strip, and we were staying in the Arab East Jerusalem. And I was not worried about a bomb falling or a missile being fired at us, but I was worried about civil unrest.
Yeah.
I was worried about people shooting guns and throwing Molotov cocktails, setting fire to dumpsters, and that kind of thing. But in any case...
Well, and being American, being Catholic, that all can you fear of being a target.
Well, I don't know whether it was target. It's more random in those situations. It's just more random. And we were staying in a hotel that was owned by Muslims, and the driver of the bus was also a Palestinian Muslim. And I wanted that because in that way I would know what's going on.
Right.
He would be much more sensitive to the local situation than me just looking at things, oblivious.
I love doing that too. When you go somewhere, the first thing I do is rent a taxi for a couple of hours, and they know everything.
And you hear every story and everything.
Yeah.
And so I went to bed that night, and I knew all the guys were in, and these are all American guys. So at 10:45, I hear we're in a hotel. So I hear outside my door, and somebody knocks on my door. And at 10:45, they said, they're looking at me wide-eyed, "Are we safe?" Because we could hear the explosions and the gunshots. And I looked at them and I said, "Knocking on my door at 10:45? No, you're not safe." But I told them, "No, you're safe.
Yeah.
Go to bed." And I didn't even make them sleep on the floor, because sometimes you have to worry about random gunshots, bullets. No, go to bed. And the youngest one goes, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "Joe, I'm going to bed." But if I could just, a little bit of my insights into the situation.
We were talking a little bit about also the something I'd like you to get into a little bit is that we're so quick to throw around the Muslims are destroying the world phrase, and we forget that there are many great, the majority of Muslims are not terrorists. And
of course.
I'd like to get into that a little bit, and I'd be interested to see what you discovered over there. So take it away. I am intrigued here.
I've got a spiel, so...
All right, I
think the problem is, first of all, it's a problem of the law of physics. Because the law of physics says one object can occupy one place at one time.
Yeah.
That's the problem. In the Middle East, we also have the problem not simply of physical land, but we have the problem of water. And people ignore that as, right now the fight's over water, the fight is not over land.
Interesting.
And I think a crucial issue is we're not looking at truth. Okay, we're really not being truthful. Does anybody need a priest from central New York to tell you that killing 3 Israeli teenagers is barbaric?
Right.
Does anyone need for me to say that Israelis kidnapping a 12-year-old Palestinian boy, making him drink kerosene, and setting fire to him is obscene?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
We are.
That's really what started this whole thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that
It's not,
it's an excuse for whatever happened.
Right. We could go back a few years for the start of this.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and that's probably the biggest problem.
Yeah.
Is that tit for tat, eye for an eye, so everybody is now blind.
Right.
And we're not now seeing anything. One thing that was touching for me, and it's a stupid little incident. I was in Israel, northern Israel, and at like what we would call a national park. Outside of it, there was McDonald's. They're everywhere. And I was in the McDonald's, and in McDonald's there were kids running around. They were all Israeli children from the neighborhood. It were Israelis. And I just thought, I want these kids to have a happy life.
Yeah.
I want them to feel safe, and I want them to prosper. And I'm not going to take sides in that. They could never be my enemy. If I was in a Palestinian neighborhood seeing Palestinian children, we have to think that way. We have to have the compassion to think that way.
Yeah.
And then what else I saw a lot of, a lack of, is courage. Right now, the Middle East, we say we have Netanyahu, we have Abbas, we have the leader in Hamas.
Yeah.
There is no leadership. The leadership simply follows the tyrannical minority
Right.
in their group. Whoever's the most radical, and they have 15 people behind them, they're controlling what goes on. So the leaders really lack the courage to say, we need to lead, we need to stop the blood. There's enough.
Yeah.
And there is no leadership.
So do you think that by what you're saying to me, it almost, now I know you would never endorse the death that is going on. I mean, Israel is just really the power here.
It's criminal.
Do you think, though, that in order to have some resolution, that Israel must conquer, they must win, and they should occupy, period?
No.
You don't feel that way?
No. Let me describe the situation to you, and it can be very. I live in East Utica.
Yeah.
Let us say we built a wall on Genesee Street, and every so often we put a gate between that wall.
Right.
And the rule was that the doors of those gates are open when somebody decides. No schedule.
Right.
No schedule. And if your job is in West Utica and you live in East Utica.
Right. You got to know where you stand. Every moment you must know where you stand.
No, well, you can't get there.
Right.
You lose the job.
Yeah.
If your land is in East Utica and you live in West, your land will be taken from you.
Right.
Because you abandoned it.
So as we live a world of lie, you say we're living the lie is that this solution that was put together is no solution.
It's fragmentation.
Yeah.
It's division.
Yeah.
We don't live in a world where division helps. Now, Gaza today, the Gaza Strip is the size of metropolitan Las Vegas. Okay, that's the size of it. 1.8 million people.
Not large.
No, very small,
Yeah.
1.8 million
Lot of
people. Now let's say you put a wall around that, and they did.
Yeah.
There's a wall there. And you said that no exports, and 131, this is an exact number, 131 trucks are allowed to bring in supplies every day for 1.8 million people. That's all. Now, do you think you're creating a situation where people are desperate and they're going to do terrible things? Yes. Pope Paul VI said, if you want peace, work for justice.
Yeah.
And we have to have justice. Now, can I accept that they're lobbing missiles into Israel? No. But can I accept, I'll give you another example of what's going on right now so you really do know.
Yeah.
Let us say that...
let's see, we're talking to Father John Faris of St. Louis Gonzaga Church in Utica. We were Taste of Lebanon is this weekend.
Yes.
This is taking priority right now with everything going. You're just back from Israel, and this is your account of the whole thing, and it's just unbelievably intriguing.
And let's say it used to be that if your son committed a terroristic act, they would take him and put him in prison. Then that punishment was escalated. If your son did something wrong, committed a terroristic act, which is horrible,
Yeah.
they would come, the authorities would come and destroy your house. Completely, they just say you have 15 minutes and then a bulldozer would destroy your house. Now you know what the situation is. That if your neighbor's son commits a terroristic act, everybody's house on the street is taken down.
Well, what our belief is, what we're hearing from media reports is that Hamas is specifically firing their rockets from schools, from places where civilians, on a retaliation from the Israelis, civilians are going to be killed, and they march them through the streets. Is that a fair accounting? Is that what is happening? And I see this as the only war they can win, by the way, is a war of trying to win public opinion throughout the world.
Well, I think, again, I don't know if it's criminal to use civilians as human shields.
Right.
Okay, but it's also strange to say that if you are confined in a very small area, somebody throws flyers down and says, we're going to bomb this in 2 hours. Where do you go?
Yeah, 1.8 million people.
Where do you go? Okay, so you say that we're going to bomb Gaza. Well, there's no place to bomb that it doesn't have civilians.
Right.
That it's not a solution. It's just not a solution. I'm not saying that there is no solution. But okay, let me put it this way. Israel was created in 1948, 49, 46, I think. Okay. We haven't found one yet. We're doing something wrong.
Right. You know, it's interesting. I try to be very logical and all of my thinking. And that is, you have to have an end game. So you want to win, so to speak, win the war. It does not seem that there really is a solution here. I don't see that, bombing the daylights out of these people is not the solution. It seems that just stepping back is not the solution. Maybe you're on to I'm not sure there's a solution with, you're identifying the problem. I still don't know that you have a logical solution, because I don't see Israel giving up.
I think that we have to be more creative.
Yeah.
Okay, in the sense that we can't divide that country. We're talking about a two-country solution. It's too small to divide. The lines that have been created because of settler movements, because of Arab invasions and things like that, it makes our country's gerrymandering look clear-cut and simple.
Right.
Okay, because
Even
the line...
Claudia Tenney's district.
Yeah, they're just, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
What we need to think is maybe you have one territory with people from two different states living in it. Because you have to think, you're going to divide this up, but let's talk about the mundane things.
Right.
Garbage disposal.
Right.
Okay, those street repairs.
Yeah.
Everyday life has to be taken care of somewhere.
How were you received?
Well.
You were.
Well, because if I'm in an Israeli museum and I see, I was just talking to Ed in the studio before, if I see somebody there standing there and he's an Israeli guard, I'm going to talk to him and go shalom, and I'm going to enjoy meeting that person.
Yeah.
Okay. And if I am talking to like I said, those kids in that McDonald's, there's not a them and us. Those are children. And we have to think that way. We have to think that way.
You know, and in this country, we talk about how our children are molded at an early age. If something happens to them, if we're not good parents to these children, they're going to grow up and they're going to suffer from what they learned at a young age. Imagine what we are creating right now for 20 years down the road.
Exactly. Let me give you another little incident. I was at the Western Wall, not this trip, another trip, with another group, and dressed as a priest. Now, the group at the Western Wall tends to be rather aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay. And we were walking to the Western Wall, wearing the yarmulkes, and one of some of the people spit on the guys. One of them was a 12-year-old girl, a young girl. Well, the guys were sputtering. These seminarians were so angry where they wanted to explode. So I thought it's a teaching moment. So we went to a guest house nearby and sat down and I said, look at how we as a church have treated Jews for 1,500 years. Let them spit on me.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay. We have to stop somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to stop.
You have to stop the tit for tat.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because where are we going?
Christian.
Yet there is it's ingrained
Yeah.
in that society. I don't know that how we change it.
Well, we're paying for it.
Yeah.
It's ingrained in that society, but they're doing our bidding.
Right. I wish I had 3 hours.
I do. I have to talk about Taste of Lebanon.
We do have to get that in there.
Yes.
This was unbelievably enlightening. Really learned a lot.
It was good to be here. It was good to be here.
Well, you will be back, I hope. Father John Faris, St. Louis Gonzaga Church, Utica. It is Taste of Lebanon, and it's this weekend, starting tomorrow, right?
Starting tomorrow. I have to look down because I always get the times wrong.
Yeah.
It's Friday 5 to 9, Saturday 1 to 9, and Sunday 11 to 6. The whole event is sponsored by Steve Ponte Auto Group.
Nice.
We're very generous, and then each day is hosted. In fact, Congressman Hannah J.K. Hage sponsored one day. Albert Musloom sponsored another day. Just a host.
Nice.
But the ladies have been cooking. I would have brought food, but I just was too rushed. But come out and I'll feed you.
Well, listen, you brought insight, and that is more valuable than anything I can think of right now. So you like, Lebanese food. Phenomenal. This is the place.
It's going to be. It's at the Deerfield Fireman's Park on Trenton Road. And we have raffles, we have good food, we have classified. It's a local band.
Yeah,
it's going to be there tomorrow night.
They have just reestablished,
yes,
by the way. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
They're there tomorrow night. And Saturday we have traditional Lebanese music and a local person, Julie Tabouli. She runs a cooking show.
Yeah.
She's going to be there. And when she first started, I have to confess, I don't have a television. So I didn't know who she was, but a wonderful young lady.
Yeah.
And every guy there wanted this picture with her.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
So we have, and then Sunday we have DJ for Lebanese and modern music.
Nice.
So it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. We want to pray for good weather.
I think you're going to be okay.
I think we're going to be okay.
I think you're all right.
Yeah.
I see the signs all over the place. My wife and I were just talking about hopefully making it over there this weekend.
Well, I'll be there and come up and say hi and we'll get some food. Okay?
And we will have you back.
Thank you so much.
We really will love to have you back. Father John Faris, it is Taste of Lebanon Feast this weekend, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. News in 2 minutes on WYBX.